Every piece of technology you touch today depends on a handful of metals most people have never heard of. The F-35 fighter jet needs them. Tesla's motors need them. And right now, one country controls 90% of the world's ability to process them. This is the secret war most people don't know is happening. On April 4th, 2025, China proved what that monopoly means. It imposed export controls on 7 rare earth elements used in permanent magnets. Within 1 month, exports dropped 74%. Car factories in Europe and America started shutting down. The price of dysprosium in Europe hit 6 times the Chinese domestic price. The first thing to understand: rare earth elements are not actually rare. Cerium is more common in the Earth's crust than copper. Neodymium is more abundant than gold by a factor of 1,000. They are called rare because they are almost never found in concentrated deposits and almost impossible to refine cleanly. The reason China dominates is not geology. It is a deliberate choice about environmental cost. Processing rare earth ore produces enormous quantities of radioactive and acidic waste. Western countries decided decades ago they were not willing to pay that environmental price. China was. That decision now holds the West hostage. These metals are called the vitamins of modern industry because you only need tiny amounts. But without them, nothing works. A single F-35 contains nearly half a ton of rare earth materials. Each Tesla electric motor requires approximately 1 kilogram of neodymium. Every smartphone contains 16 different rare earth elements. Wind turbines are among the largest consumers. A single offshore turbine requires up to 300 kilograms of neodymium. The irony is almost cruel. The green energy revolution that is supposed to reduce our geopolitical dependencies has created the most concentrated supply chain vulnerability in history. China's rare earth monopoly was not an accident. It was a strategy executed over decades. In the 1980s, China subsidized production to the point where Western mines became unprofitable and shut down. When competitors tried to re-enter, China flooded the market with cheap supply and bought their assets. Deng Xiaoping said it in 1992. The Middle East has oil. China has rare earths. For 30 years, that was not taken seriously enough. The West focused on the cheapest possible supply chain. China focused on controlling the only supply chain. Now the lesson is being learned the hard way. The 2025 export controls targeted specifically the heavy rare earths, dysprosium, terbium, and others, that have no substitutes in high-temperature magnet applications. You cannot build an F-35 motor without dysprosium. You cannot build missile guidance systems without terbium. China knew exactly which elements to target to cause maximum pain. The damage was immediate and surgical. U.S. imports of yttrium from China, 333 tons in the 8 months before controls, just 17 tons in the 8 months after. While European imports recovered as China granted selective licenses, U.S. imports never returned to pre-restriction levels. China was applying economic pressure with precision targeting. At the center of the rare earth crisis is one technology: the neodymium iron-boron permanent magnet. Invented in 1982, the strongest permanent magnet known to science, it is why electric motors shrank from the size of a refrigerator to the size of a football, and it cannot be made without Chinese supply. The reason dysprosium and terbium are added is to make neodymium magnets work at high temperatures. Without dysprosium, a neodymium magnet loses its magnetism above 80 degrees Celsius, useless for jet engines, EV motors under load, and missile systems. Adding just a few percent raises that limit to over 200 degrees. The most strategically important untapped rare earth deposit on Earth sits under the ice of southern Greenland. Kvanefjeld contains more than 11 million tons of rare earth reserves, including 370,000 tons of heavy rare earths like dysprosium and terbium, one of the largest deposits in the world. It is currently blocked. This is why Trump tried to buy Greenland. Not for tourism, not for real estate, for the 1.5 million tons of rare earth reserves and the strategic location that makes it the most important piece of Arctic real estate on Earth. The U.S. lobbied Greenland directly not to sell the Tan Breeze deposit to China. Since Greenland is politically blocked, the new frontier is the ocean floor. In January 2026, Japan achieved a world record, drilling for rare earths at more than 6,000 meters depth off Minami-Torishima Island. The estimate? 16 million tons of rare earth elements, the third largest deposit in the world. The Clarion-Clipperton Zone contains trillions of polymetallic nodules with cobalt, nickel, and rare earth elements. In March 2025, Canada's Metals Company applied for U.S. deep-sea mining permits, bypassing the International Seabed Authority entirely. Over 700 scientists have signed a moratorium call. The legal battle is now global. The West is finally responding, but slowly. In California, Mountain Pass, the only active U.S. rare earth mine, restarted and began trial production of neodymium iron boron magnets in late 2025. MP Materials produced approximately 1,000 tons of magnets per year, against a U.S. defense need estimated in the tens of thousands. Australia is the most important Western counter. In 2024, Australia attracted 45% of global rare earth exploration investment. It has 89 active rare earth projects. The government backed Iluka Resources with a $1.25 billion loan to build a refinery. The U.S.-Australia Critical Minerals Framework was signed in October 2025. Here is the honest picture. Even under optimistic projections, China will still control 78% of rare earth refining in 2040. Mountain Pass produces a fraction of U.S. needs. Greenland is politically blocked. Deep-sea mining is years from commercial scale. The West has woken up to this crisis about 20 years too late. The rare earth war is not a future problem. It is happening right now in Arctic fjords, on Pacific Ocean floors, in trade ministry buildings in Beijing and Washington, and in the supply chains of every technology company on Earth. Who controls these metals controls the future.